So thanks so much, everyone, for joining us for today's session, where we're going to focus on transforming communications platforms to support office and remote workers. Really looking at how we support the changing world of work in the world of education in the public sector. So I'm really excited to be able to do that, and to do that with a great partner that Edge has in CBTS through our Edge Market function, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a second. So Edge is a nonprofit member-based research and education networking technology partner. We were formed by the New Jersey President's Council for Higher Education back around the turn of the century to provide a backbone of technology support for higher education community in the state initially. That mission has grown beyond just the higher education community to include, obviously research within higher ed, the K-12 community, state and local government, libraries, healthcare, nonprofits, really anybody with a public serving mission. Edge exists to help them achieve that mission, to help you achieve your mission through the effective use and the smart use and the affordable use of technology. We do that in a number of ways. Initially, we were formed to build a network around the state of New Jersey. That network has continued to grow. It's now really evolved along with the generations of as the internet has evolved, and really serves as a purpose-built optical fiber network here in the state to advance education, to advance research, and has grown geographically as well. There are points of presence in Pennsylvania and New York, and the network continues to expand. Edge Discovery is our support system for the research community, and really trying to advance that research and discovery with the research institutions in the higher ed space. We host events, networking and community building, things like what we're doing here today, to make sure we're able to bring our members together to learn more about the technologies and solutions that can support their missions. We also deliver services ourselves through thought leadership, solution development in areas like digital transformation, cybersecurity, privacy and compliance, cloud strategy, educational technology and instruction. There we do lots of instructional design work to help advance online learning, hybrid and high flex learning. And really, we, with our the solutions that Edge delivers as a nonprofit, we try and find those spaces where there's a real value add to an institution, or where we can accelerate the effective use of a technology, or help them to expand at scale the use of technologies or new strategies as they emerge. So, we're really focused on working closely with the institutions that we work with to advance the mission and advance the use of technology. Now, one of the ways that we've really found to be effective in doing that is in the purchasing and procurement space. So that's where Edge Market comes in. Edge Market's our strategic and informed consortium procurement arm, where we're able to, by a legislative status granted to us by the state of New Jersey, we're able to go out to bid on behalf of not only the higher ed community, not only the K-12 community, really the entire public sector and private education community on a nationwide basis in any state that accepts co-ops from out of state. So we're a registered procurement cooperative in the state of New Jersey, and Edge Market continues to grow to include, institutions in the states of Oregon and Florida and Virginia, and really all over the country have joined Edge Market. And that's happening more and more every day. And what's really driving the success of Edge Market is well-crafted RFPs that end up being awarded to vendor partners that really deliver solutions that are going to help solve problems for our members and for participants in a co-op. Now, one of those RFPs that we put out was seeking partners in the voice over IP, the advanced kind of modern communication space, and CBTS put forward a very successful bid for that and was awarded that RFP. So we're really, really excited to work with CBTS to advance the communications infrastructures and the communication strategies of our members. And we're going to learn a little bit more about that today from Kirk Rooney from CBTS. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Kirk, I'll invite you to share yours and really get into the meat of today's content.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Adam. And just to test real quick, you can hear me, right, Adam?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, and then the next test, you can see my screen too, right?
Yes, and for a second I saw it out into infinity with the Zoom window.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. So thank you very much for the intro there, Adam. So my name is Kirk Rooney. I'm a senior solutions engineer at CBTS. I've been with the organization for 15 years. Adam made reference to the RFP that was put out for voice over IP, or communications / UCAS, Unified Communications as a Service Solutions. I was the sales engineer that replied to that RFP, and I have had conversations with and worked with multiple Edge members over the last couple years since it's been awarded, of which we've already signed a handful of different colleges and universities up for our solutions that we offer through the Edge market. So I'm excited today to take a moment to talk to you about what exactly is on the Edge market through CBTS, how we could assist you with current infrastructure you may have in place through like SIP trunking, how we can assist with utilizing current assets that you have capital investments already into, or technologies you've already invested in, and how we can utilize those resources or technologies with our solution in the cloud. So there's a lot of great things to come out of this call. Normally, when we do presentations, they're very one-on-one. So please know that if you'd like, we'd love to have some one-on-off time with you, and we can spend as much time doing discovery and answering any of the questions that you may have. So just know that we're here for you, and we're happy to engage when you're ready to do a one-on-one conversation at any time. So with that said, I've got a little bit of content to go through, and hopefully there'll be plenty of time for some from Q&A inside of there as well too. So our agenda for today, first off, we want to just very briefly touch on voice over IP or UCAS experience. That's very important because we do realize that from a technology perspective, voice over IP, it's not new. It's offered out there, by a multitude of different providers and vendors. We offer it through the Edge market, but you want to make sure that whoever you're choosing to deploy the solution, they've done it before and they have a proven track record of excellence. So we kind of just talk about experience, and just know that we have some case studies to review with you today, and customers you could ask to speak with as well too. We wanted to do an overview briefly of the communications practice offering across the Edge market, just so that you understand this is not here is our solution that we offer, this is the only solution that we offer, hope it fits. These are the 6+ different options that we have in the world of UCAS. And we mean it when we say that we want to take a consultative approach, because we cannot always make every circle fit into that triangle hole, right? So we want to make sure that everybody's clear and understanding of what we bring to the table. And then, of course, I wanted to talk to you a little about delivery of potentially SIP trunking to you if that's where you're currently at right now, or how we can utilize current applications, tools, like I said, investments that are currently inside of your infrastructure today. So with that said, first thing to touch on would be CBTS Voice over IP experience. Just so you know, CBTS is actually a subsidiary of Cincinnati Bell Telephone, 150-ish year old. It's called an ILEC, an incumbent local exchange carrier. So they deliver public switch telephone network access to a market, right? And we've actually been a CLAC, delivering dial tone to the public switch telephone network across the nation since 2006. So we've been delivering dial tone across the country now since 2006, but for 150 years we have experience in just delivering dial tone to customers. So in the world of delivering a unified communications as a service solution, which as a service basically means we want to take this, move it into the cloud, and resume all responsibility, lifecycle management, right? Hardware, refreshing, lifecycle management of your licensing and software, a support deck with a ticketing portal and alerts, basically an extension of you, right? Just all completely managed inside of the cloud. We've been delivering UCAS solutions since 2000. That's a long time ago. UCAS wasn't even relevant back then. And it actually happened because a library came to us and said, we can't take this no more. We can't handle that lifecycle management. And then we offered to build them a phone system in one of our data centers. And essentially, we actually created UCaaS, and we're doing UCaaS before it was even a thing many years ago in 2000. But we've been delivering these solutions for a long time. And some of the things that stand out inside of the vertical of state, local education is that we've actually been 2 out of the last 4 years a SLED Partner of the Year for Cisco around UCaaS. We've been named a notable UCaaS vendor by Gartner. We have actually been awarded for Execution Excellence Partner of the Year 2 years in a row for deploying of UCaaS solutions. And we actually have an abundance of solutions that we our customers you can call on as references as well too, because we know that's important. And one thing that's important to note is that we know that Microsoft has come into play recently through Microsoft Teams and calling, especially since the pandemic hit. They've been growing about 4,000% in users on the Microsoft platform year after year, just using the Microsoft Teams tool. And they're trying to make a splash in the world of voice, which just in the last couple of years since they've launched it, we've actually deployed Fortune 100 companies, Fortune 500 companies, large hospital systems, right? And we've done a lot of really neat things through hybrid environments because Microsoft can't fit everybody's needs. So we've done a lot of great things there. So a lot of background and experience in the world of voice over IP and UCaaS. Now, one thing to understand is for the edge market voice over IP offerings through CBTS, what we offer and why is UCaaS or these offerings so popular? So traditionally, these are kind of the providers you've always dealt with in the world of communications. You had to get dial tone. As I referenced, we were Cincinnati Bell Telephone, so an ILEC delivering dial tone. And these are just some nationwide carriers, AT&T, Verizon, CenturyLink, Level 3. They would essentially sell you phone lines, and they would deliver those to your location. But then you had to have a phone system, right? You would buy an Avaya or a Cisco or a Mitel phone system, right? And those vendors, they don't sell directly. So you work through a value-added reseller or partner, right? Like a Pomeroy, CDW, right? CBTS even sells hardware like that. So you would purchase the hardware, pay somebody, a third-party value-added reseller, to install said hardware, configure it the way you want, and then you would pay the telco for the dial tone, right? But that a lot of times was a bear. It could cause finger pointing from a support perspective, different numbers as far as it goes for support, one for the telco, one potentially for the value-added reseller. So there's always multiple parties. And at the end of the day, you, the customer, was always responsible for the hardware, right? So you were responsible for all the refreshing of lifecycle management. You were responsible for doing the firmware updates. And then sometimes you'd fall so many years behind because it's difficult. Very rarely do I talk to a customer that says, oh yeah, I'm up to date on my firmware. Normally it's, oh, I'm running 9.5 and the vendor's on 12.5 and we're behind and we're being told that we have to make changes. So this has always been the world of the past, but what CBTS has basically done through UCaaS and what UCaaS really brings to the table for you, it's the idea of bringing all of these worlds together, but completely managed and maintained inside of CBTS's cloud infrastructure and making it fully managed. So now somebody else has full responsibility for that dial tone public switch telephone network access. Somebody else has responsibility for hardware, licensing, everything is somewhere else, and management of the solution. So you don't have to have in-house expertise that knows how to do it. You can simply go to ServiceNow and place a service request or email for a ticket for a project to be started or completed on the platform. And so that's what you would get for a CBTS UCaaS solution, is it eliminates all expenses that are incurred across telecom, value-added resellers, or hardware, and it moves it all to a as-a-service solution. So keeping in the idea of the edge market, our communication practice has a breadth of products and solutions to offer. And these are just some of our customers that are running on our communications platform, right? We have some large retail, we have some colleges, universities inside of here, hospitals, Fortune 100 organizations, right? K through 12, breadth of experience across all verticals. The solutions that we bring to the table and offer through the edge market, the first one, it's for SIP trunking. So we talk to customers, edge customers, that tell us about how they're basically receiving letters from AT&T, saying you're no longer allowed to have those copper phone lines. You're paying me for phone lines for your phone system you've got today. You need to get rid of those PRIs and phone lines. So what we have inside of the edge market contract is the ability to deliver SIP trunking services. That's a session initiated protocol, or basically making a phone call over a data network as opposed to going over traditional copper lines. So when you make a call over the data network, what we use is actually the edge network. So CBTS actually has edge fiber built from Edge's network out to our data centers in Cincinnati, Ohio, and Ashburn, Virginia. And that actually allows us to deliver dial tone utilizing your already there fiber assets that you're paying for through Edge. So at the end of the day, if you want it to just stay where you're at, we're managing our phone system. We already have a contract on the phone system that doesn't expire for another year or two. We can help with assisting on a roadmap to maybe get to UCAS one day, but just transition you off of the copper over to the edge network for delivering your voice services, if that's a conversation you wanted to have. Another option is there is CBTS hosted UCAS solutions. What does that mean? CBTS offers two solutions where we've built these phone systems up ourselves, and we put them in our data centers. One of them is through Cisco, and it's what they call their BroadSoft solution. It's primarily set for small to medium enterprise customers, but it does fit the bill a lot of times for customers that only have a couple hundred or a few hundred handsets. And then we also host Cisco's enterprise solution. So if you're familiar with the world of Cisco, they offer something called their UCM, or Unified Communication Manager. Essentially what this is it is a dedicated phone system that only you're on. It is built to order for you, and it runs on your network, on your IP space, but in our data centers, right? So very secure, follows every sort of protocol that you would need to be able to follow if you would, federal or state-wise. So we also have our enterprise solutions. These are completely managed, maintained in CBTS data centers. Now, Cisco also has their phone system that they offer inside of their data centers. Now, you still need dial tone and management and to be stood up onto that phone system platform, and licensing management as well too. So CBTS offers, if you want it to, the Cisco phone system. Essentially, the CBTS BroadSoft phone system and this one are the exact same thing, but we offer a little differences of wrappers of third-party integrations and features. And through consultation with us, we can assist you in understanding what the differences are and why you would go one direction or another. And then one that has made the big splash since the pandemic has started was the Microsoft Teams Voice phone system, where once again, CBTS will go and manage and maintain your Microsoft tenant, the voice side of it, the phone system piece of it, but supply dial tone into the Microsoft tenant for you, manage all that dial tone, all the hardware through what they call session border controllers, and then your end users day 2 support, as well as standing you up, all inside of the solution. So we essentially offer just dial tone. Then we have CBTS managed and maintained phone systems in the cloud, a Cisco managed in their cloud phone system, and then you have the Microsoft Team phone system that's offered as well. And then one thing that I feel like is always relevant to point out is that call contact center a lot of times comes hand in hand. There's a couple edge members where we've actually are deployed or are deploying some call center, small ones for like enrollment and stuff. So we actually offer a multitude of call centers. We actually offer a BroadWorks call center option. There is the Cisco Contact Center Express or Contact Center Enterprise we offer. We have the WebEx Contact Center as well as 5 nines. And all of these fall under the Edge Market Agreement. So when you actually look at the breadth of UCaaS and call center, we offer just about every product there is on the market. And we have a lot of background experience and the expertise to not only deploy, but to support all of these solutions for you. And that's why it's so important for us to be able to consult with our customers, understand what their problems are, goals, initiatives, what their current environment looks like, applications being used, hardware, so that we can steer you the appropriate direction for the right solution. I'll take a second real quick and ask Adam if you guys have any questions there.
Yeah, and this might be one where the answer is, specific to each environment, but you mentioned the 6 or, the 6 or so different flavors or different parts of the solution or different ways that an institution might go. What are the kind of factors you look at to determine a best fit, or, how does that all work on your end?
Yeah, so it really is about mainly discovery on the front end, right? We have to have a very good understanding of the current environment that's in play. And the reason why we really want to understand the current environment, okay, it is because how successful one of these deployments go is very largely based on how well adopted it is across your user base. If you deploy something and only 10% of people start actually using these tools or taking advantage of it, then that really was not successful. So it's very important for us to understand where you're at today, the path that you're going when it comes to collaboration, applications, tools, devices that you have on the network, whether they be bring your own device or actual physical hardware you've invested that's sitting on a desktop. For us to understand the current environment and what people are used to using or comfortable with, that really is one of the big things that helps us steer the correct direction. Our big focus is going to be working with you to figure out how we get the highest adoption rate for you across the entire enterprise, so that people are complementing the new solution you've chosen and not complaining about how it's so much different than what you had before, and they don't want to use it.
You also talked about some of the really kind of old school legacy voice systems and technologies that might be out there. From some of those, the old kind of copper lines and the old stuff out there, what's the transition timeline maybe from somebody looking to move off of one of those legacy solutions out into one of these models?
So yeah, it will vary based off of what the solution is. For something like SIP trunking for a customer that's already on the edge network, that typically the long pole in the tent would just be the porting of the telephone numbers from AT&T or CenturyLink over to CBTS. That's normally around 30 days. So after we turn in the paperwork to whoever the carrier is, normally that's about 30 days for that project to go and us be able to port the numbers over. When it comes to the phones solutions that we have up here, most of them, all of them essentially, except for the dedicated enterprise environment I referenced, those can be a fairly fast turnaround. So it could be a matter of just, if it's a smaller environment, a matter of a month. If it's a larger environment, it could take a couple months. If it's an environment that is needing a dedicated solution stood up for them, and they have thousands of seats, that could take longer. So you could be talking about 3 to 4 months in order to be moving. So it really depends on your environment and what the needs are. What I will say is that 9 out of 10 times, the timetable, it's going to be based off of how fast the customer can move. As you can imagine, we have a multitude of resources that we can assign so that we can move forward as fast as possible. But it's not always that way, obviously, when it comes to IT staff at a different college or university. This can't be your full-time job. You have your day-to-day job that you have to do. So we understand you can't move as fast as we can, but we absolutely will do our best to work with you through regular weekly cadence meetings so that you have a good understanding of roles, responsibilities, and what's due next in the project for it to move forward. So we help as much as we can.
Got it. Okay. I think we're good for now to start moving forward. I'll just note there's like some kind of video dialog box on the top right of your screen. It looks like, I don't know if you can click the arrow maybe to minimize it or move it to a second screen.
Thank you. I imagine that was annoying.
My apologies. I think it was out of the way on most slides, just, you know, the couple logos and stuff behind it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Nope, appreciate it. So one thing that we like to do is obviously always point out a case study, a scenario of where we've implemented these type of solutions before. An edge market member would be Middlesex College. So Middlesex College, when we went and we met with them, they were currently on an aging phone system that was getting hard for them to manage. It was an older Mitel solution that they had in place there. And they were having some issues with a lack of response from an existing vendor. The real trouble was, as you can see on one of these bullet points, was a single resource to support. There was one guy that had been working on that Mitel phone system for, you know, this vendor that was supporting them, and that was it. He was the only person that knew anything about their environment, just one person. So they were very dependent from a timing perspective for any service or maintenance just off of a single person. And that was it. It all based around one person. And unfortunately, that one person, even towards the end, right when they signed up for us, that one person went on medical leave and he was off for months of not being able to offer him any assistance too. So very dependent, if you would, on a single person out there. They did not have any collaboration that they were landed on as the single collaboration tool that everybody was using throughout the environment. So they were looking to add collaboration for instant messaging, desktop sharing, group chat spaces, and collaboration. And they did not have a soft phone deployment. So actually, one of the things that we did for them was that in the beginning here, when with the pandemic or whatnot kicking off, they came to us and said, "We're very interested. We'd like to move forward with your solution. What can you do to help us because of this predicament we have right now?" So they had a small call center they wanted to set up for being able to triage calls coming into the university. So we actually stood up, I believe it was around 30 call center agents that we stood them up within a matter of a week on our in-house CBTS Cisco BroadSoft platform, so that they could operate this triage, you know, that they couldn't manage to do on their current phone system environment. And when the time came and we were ready to get them fully deployed and stood up, we just migrated all those users onto their, you know, fully developed platform. So we very much are a flexible organization, and we'll do anything that we can in assisting you overcome any, business, initiatives that you've got, being able to accomplish them though. So they wanted to get out of the phone business, not have things dependent on a single vendor. The solution for us was very simple on this. It was straightforward. We moved them to a CBTS fully managed UCaaS solution. We were extension of their team, where they have a whole knock of people that can actually manage and operate their phone system for them. One thing I'll point out, that we set this up for co-management. They also wanted to be able to make the ability to add and remove users at their own luxury, their own will. So we put co-management in there for them. So we have a very user-friendly management portal they could go to and make changes themselves as well too. So it worked out to be a great thing. They can still handle things themselves, but we co-manage it with them on the back end though. So they've been able to move over to the UCaaS solution. Another customer that was unique for us, actually, right in Rhode Island, the US Naval War College wanted to move off to the cloud. So they had a challenge where they were on a Cisco UCM environment, So that's the Cisco Enterprise solution. When I had my discovery meeting with them, I was asking them where they stand, what firmware update or release were they were on. So they were running on, 9.5, but they were supposed to actually be all the way up to release 13. So they were years behind on doing a firmware update, and Cisco was coming to them regularly saying, you have got to update your phone system, get back on most current release if you're wanting to take advantage of features that they were looking for, like a user-friendly soft phone environment. So they were having a lot of difficulty keeping up with lifecycle management, being able to get the budget to be able to get the professional services, the licensing updated regularly every year. So what we were able to work out with them was we moved them over to our dedicated solution, because they are a part of the federal government. So they had very much specific regulations that they had to abide and follow by, levels of security, if you would, running on their own dedicated environment. So we stood them up on a CBTS UCAS dedicated environment solution that was able to meet their needs, and transition them on over. Jackson School District in Jersey as well too. So this was an interesting one because they actually were already on a Cisco UCAS solution that we offered through the Edge market. The problem was they didn't pick the right partner to deploy their UCAS solution with. So they had informed us that they had been living with 5 years of just torture with the current vendor that they were with. It was taking them weeks upon weeks after placing basic service requests for users to be added or voicemail pins to be reset, because they were not allowed access to do anything from a management perspective. So one of the things they came to us was that they wanted a co-managed solution that they could make moves, adds, changes themselves through a user-friendly portal, and that they required that it be US-based support that would be 24/7, 365, because they felt like they were experiencing a lot of barriers from a language perspective with their support that was already in place. So we were able to deliver our CBTS NOC, which is US-based, all CBTS W-2 employees, and move them over to basically the same UCAS solution, just inside of the CBTS cloud, to be able to meet their needs. And we point out that it is co-managed there because that was one of the big things for them, was they wanted to be able to make simple changes very fast on the fly themselves. And then the last case study that I want to put in here was St. Luke's. So St. Luke's actually came to CBTS as a Microsoft Teams environment. They had made a substantial investment and purchased thousands, probably close to 10,000 licenses to move their environment over to the Microsoft Teams phone system. The problem is that the Microsoft Teams phone system, it's really good from an end user experience, but it by no means is equipped to be able to run a hospital. End user, great. Running a hospital, absolutely not. So they encountered a lot of issues on the deployment side. So what we were able to do was we took a look at what they already purchased in their environment for Microsoft, and then what their needs would be to actually run their phone system, whether it be around survivability. That's very big. You can't have, a phone system down at a hospital, and Microsoft couldn't handle that. Analog paging integrations, Microsoft couldn't do any of it. So CBTS was able to come to the table, deploy one of our Cisco UCAS solutions that could run the hospital, the Microsoft phone system that could be the end user experience. And we actually created a trunk between the two platforms, so they actually operate as one. So now a doctor could be able to do a page over the intercom system off the Microsoft, his Microsoft Teams client, even though it was being run off of the Cisco phone system. So at the end of the day, CBTS is actually able to work with our customers even to create hybrid environments that allow you to, basically do interop between potentially collaboration tools that you already have in place, investments that you've already made, but that just can't fully deliver the solution you're looking for. We can figure out ways of how can we deliver the solution that you're looking for, maybe just across multiple platforms. But since it's managed by us, it's no difference to you to you, it's a single solution through a single vendor. CBTS is really doing the management and the integration between the platforms and the cloud for you. And so really at the heart of this, what CBTS believes is that your needs do come first. This is not about, this is my one solution that I offer. Your needs come first. Your success matters to us. And all of our solutions make CBTS an extension of your team. We hear from customers all the time that they feel like they're short-staffed. They feel like they don't have enough time to do a lot of tasks that are on their plate. And so the idea is that if CBTS can make it so that we can get you out of the phone business altogether, by handling the dial tone, by handling the wide area network to the phone system, by handling the phone system itself, the licensing, the hardware you have on site, even that we can deliver a solution that really makes it so that we're an extension of your team and can free up more time for you. And so one of the things that I wanted to do real quick was just to give a little visual aid for you on some of these things. So we talked about how SIP trunking, if you wanted to stay for your current on-prem phone system, the way SIP trunking works is if you're being told you're on copper services today, PRI, phone lines, and they're saying those need to go away. If you have that edge fiber network, then we actually already have transport into your schools or your locations. So the CBTS SIP platform would simply connect into you using Edge's data network, and now we can deliver dial tone to you across that fiber asset that you already have in place to your on-prem phone system. So it's pretty simple that instead of delivering phone lines to all of those locations like you see on the left, you already have the fiber resources so that we can make it so that we can deliver over the edge fiber network phone lines anywhere you want. And business continuity is very important as well too. If ever on our SIP trunking we go to deliver a phone call to you, with SIP it's neat. It's not like we send a call to you and we don't know if it gets there or not. We actually will get a response back from your phone system saying, I'm trying to deliver the call. If ever I do not get that 180 trying response from your phone system, we actually have disaster recovery in place where we can reroute those telephone calls to another offsite backup phone system automatically, or we could reroute those calls to an auto attendant or hunt groups that we build in the cloud that can even reroute those calls, triage them out to cell phones or whatever it is that you have. So with our SIP trunking, we also include disaster recovery for the event we can't deliver a call. And the consultative approach when it comes to UCaaS, we understand that an on-prem phone system might be the way that you need to go right now, or you're looking for a roadmap to get there, and SIP trunking might be a good start for you. But ultimately, most people are trying to solve problems or issues, and these are some of the things that we're seeing out there. What we hear from customers regularly is lack of capital. And it says for a new solution here, but understand, that aging technology, that one of the number one things we hear from customers is that I'm behind, I don't have, current technology because I don't have budget to upgrade a phone system that I bought. So the idea is that you're looking for somebody to manage this solution for you throughout, right? So it's not necessarily a lack of capital today, it's lack of capital today and next year and the year after that. There are many UCaaS solutions that are out there on the market where it is, I'm delivering the solution and it is something in which I want to, have this new technology today, but I don't have the capital investment to update it, right? IT burden, like I said, we could be an extension of your staff, multiple vendors and platforms and support through, AT&T and a CDW, just rolling it under one umbrella, if you would. So we understand that there's a lot of different problems that are out there, and we can help solve for them across one of the solutions that we have in place. And then, as I said in the beginning, one of the things that's important for us to understand that we're always interested in is understanding your current environment and what services are being used today and what's being adapted. So what's the right collaboration tool for your organization? Are you a Cisco shop today and using Jabber, or are you using WebEx? Is it a Microsoft shop potentially that you have in place today? These tools can actually integrate with one another, or they can run natively, to their own phone system in the cloud. But we have the knowledge and know how to be able to allow you to continue to use whatever tools that you have in place today, whether it be the WebEx or whether it be the Microsoft Teams deployments. Then we speak to a lot of customers. They have, maybe Polycom phones deployed across their environment, and those Polycom handsets could have been a heavy investment. And we know which ones of our solutions or what solutions out there can actually accommodate Polycom handsets. Or maybe there are Cisco handsets that you're looking to repurpose because that was a substantial investment. And then, of course, there's also Microsoft handsets that are on the market too. So across the applications that are the biggest ones, most popular on the market, where the handsets that have been invested are the most popular that are on the market. CBTS has multiple solutions that would be able to utilize all those investments that you've made. And then what we really are delivering at the end of the day is this UCaaS, Unified Communications as a Service, where is a phone system at the core, but really, no matter what service you get with us, it's actually about this wrapper that we put around the solution, whether it be one of CBTS's solutions that we manage in the CBTS cloud, where we deliver it through our dedicated deployment teams with dial tone, with training offerings, hunt groups, auto attendance, our US-based support. You've got this ring of services that we deliver to go around it. And this ring stays consistent across all of our platforms because we bring the same teams to the table. We bring the same support to the table, no matter which direction you go. So it's one of those things where none of these solutions is a one-off, and it's difficult for us to be able to deliver that same standard of excellence, if you would. So this is an example of what it looks like on the CBTS side of the house, of all the solutions, the wrapper we put around it, and solutions we bring to the table with it. But then there's the solutions that maybe Cisco houses in their data center. We deliver all the exact same wrapper of solution, third-party applications that we lace in, from enhanced 911 to call recording, the same support desk, same deployment teams. And the same thing applies if you look at it from the Microsoft team as well, too. So all the same resources, all the same enhancements. So when we talk to our customers and we're trying to discover for them what is a good fit or a good path for them, just rest assured that no matter what path it is that CBTS, sees as being an appropriate or good solution for you, it's consistent across the board. A complete end-to-end solution, whether it be the local long distance, your direct inward dial telephone numbers, the enhanced 911, day 2 support service now, they're all the exact same end-to-end solution that's getting delivered through CBTS at the end of the day. And so with that, I believe hopefully we have some time here to go to a open discussion, Adam, if there's any questions that are coming up.
Yeah, we did have a couple that came in as you're going through the back half of the presentation there. So one thing that you mentioned on a couple of the case studies that you highlighted was the ability for the co-managed solution. It seemed like that got some interest. What's the impact on staff going to that co-managed model? What kind of flexibility, what impact day to day have you guys seen that have on institutional, the institution's maybe voice management staff?
Yeah, that's a really good question because it's going to vary. So we actually have a university that we're working with that completely offloads everything through us. So they have their help desk. If you call in, their tier 1 would take the ticket, and then their tier 1 would just through ServiceNow place all requests to us, whether it be standing up a new user, whether it just be to reset even a password. I mean, it all goes through us. So for instance, that customer decided, we really want you to handle everything. We're just going to submit all tickets to you. Then I actually am working with a customer right now they just asked to sign up with us, actually, RCBC. And RCBC, they have an in-house resource that I've been doing demos with of the management portal so that she has a good understanding of how to do things, right? And the way that they're going to work out is that calls come in, and Sandy at RCBC, she'll actually work the more basic requests, if you would. So adding new users, she said she wants to be able to do, and pick their DID, set them up, if you would, right? Reset passwords. She's fine. She wants to handle all of that stuff. But when it comes to anything that's like project related, something that actually is more above and beyond a simple request, she's going to go ahead and turn that on over to us as a ticket request, and then we'll start working that. So the impact of how it could affect your organization, it's completely up to you. You could turn everything over to us, or you could handle basically all the day-to-day and just have us handle all of the projects for you moving forward.
Got it. Cool. Thanks. And then the other piece, kind of along similar lines, I think, was what is the support or implementation model? How do you help institutions, one, get onto the platform, I think, and then on the back end, what does support look like in, to get to you guys in either the managed or co-managed kind of flavors?
Yeah. So what I heard was that what's the implementation process look like, and what does day two support look like? So from an implementation perspective, we assign multiple resources right off the bat. So there is a project manager. The project manager is basically responsible for setting up all of the meetings, which we do weekly cadence meetings, right, where we review roles, responsibilities, next steps. And they're responsible for keeping us on track, right? Have a meeting every week, review all the roles, responsibilities, what needs to be done, where we stand, send out meeting notes, right, and do the exact same thing over and over until the project is completed. Then we assign actual voice specialists, which work on the data collection, which is basically gathering all the information from you so that they can then hand it over to one of the engineers to provision or configure inside of our cloud. So you'll have project management. There's also voice specialists on the data collection side with you. And then we have engineering resources that actually do the deployment side of things, right? On top of all of that, we actually give to you, have a service delivery manager assigned to you, an SDM. This is unique. So with CBTS, a service delivery manager's role is to actually work with you through monthly or quarterly business reviews on this product. So you have a single point of contact that will be reviewing with you operationally all of your tickets, your service requests or technical tickets that you place with us, how we performed up to our service level agreements that were set into place. So that way you actually have that first-hand person you get to deal with regularly on this service to work for projects that are coming up, billing, like I said, performance from an operational perspective, how we're doing. And that is kind of your liaison to CBTS, and you have them throughout the entire service agreement that you're with us. Now, in regards to support, day two support, you have your service delivery manager. We give you an intuitive portal that you could use to do your own management if you so choose. But then on top of that, we establish ServiceNow is our ticketing portal that we utilize. So you have access to ServiceNow to place your requests, or we can even integrate to your ticketing portal if that's something that you would so choose. So there's ways that you can communicate to us through email, ticketing portal, or your service delivery manager from a day two support perspective. And one last thing I'll point out is that on the front end deployment process side, we do work with Edge. We have network to network interfaces, so large multi-gig fiber circuits stood up. from the edge network into our data centers. We can take up to 4 diverse routes from the edge network into our data centers, so that your call traffic can be rerouted if ever a circuit goes down. This actually is across private network IP space. It's not over the internet. So we put a guaranteed quality of service on all of this voice traffic because it's not even touching the internet. All the traffic is routed across edge private IP space across diverse circuits into our data centers.
Yeah, one of the advantages we're able to do with EdgeNet and being able to peer with our service provider partners. So that's huge for folks that are on the edge network. So that was all the questions that we had coming in. One more, I think, kind of interesting case that I wanted to see if we can touch on, which is one of the Edge members, and I'm not sure if they're referenceable or not. So I'm not going to call the name of the institution out, but just to highlight the kind of flexibility and the path that we can put folks on to modernize and get to some of these UCaaS type solutions, was an institution that, you know, kind of has in the forecast maybe getting there in a few years, but first wanted to modernize and extend the life a little bit of the legacy voice solution they had on campus. Can you talk a little bit about how CBTS can kind of help build that pathway to get to the cloud over a number of years, extend the useful life of current solutions, and then get to a UCaaS solution that fits when the time is right?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're making reference to is that we had a customer that still had in-house support for their phone system. They said, we still want to manage this phone system, but they looked at a new phone system as a long-term investment, 10-year type of investment, right? So they said, we don't want to go to a whole new phone system in 5 years from now. But we still have all the in-house expertise and resources that we've invested. So they asked what we could do to put together if you would, a strategy to get them to the cloud, just not now right away. So the idea was that we put them actually onto cloud phone system licensing model, but we're actually running their on-prem phone system off of cloud licenses. What does that mean? It basically means that the customer can save some money by running their phone system on-prem and managing it themselves because they had some capital to spend. And then at the time that if a resource that is there today says, I'm going to retire, it's a good move for you to move out to the cloud, then at that time we actually can take the licensing that is on their phone system, and when they ask us to, take that licensing and just apply it into our phone system in the cloud, essentially meaning they won't lose any money that they invested on that solution if they decide to move to the cloud within the next 2 to 3 or 4 years, because they made a 5-year investment and they didn't want to lose any of the investment. So we made it so that we could run them on-prem or cloud. Their choice. Easy strategy to go to the cloud, though.
Great. That's and I think just kind of speaks to the flexibility and the kind of level of service that CBTS can bring to the table to make this stuff, really kind of work and really sing and meet the institution strategy. So that's great.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that one up. That was a good one too.
Yeah. So that's all we have for now, I think. Any closing thoughts? Anything you want to wrap up with, Kurt, before we jump?
Just wanted to go ahead and say thank you guys very much for the time. For us, we really like working with our customers. Like I said, understanding their needs, consult with them. We're here to make it so that no matter what path you take, we feel like we can make it so that it's a heavily adapted solution across your environment, which is really, like I said, the most important thing we get from customers is they want everybody to be using it and not just be another thing they've invested in, that the tools aren't being utilized. So we can really help for that.
Cool. Well, that's great. Thanks so much for the time and for sharing your expertise with folks today. And like I said, everybody, the session's been recorded, so we'll make sure to distribute the recording out to all of our registrants, all of our attendees. So keep an eye on that. And thanks for spending time with us today. And thanks again, Kurt. And just hope everybody has a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you all.
Thanks.